After going 2-1 in the LEC for LEC versus our Los Ratones, the best team in Europe. Welcome to this week's Power Spike. Dgon here alongside Jamada and head coach of the Rats, Yamato Cannon. Guys, Last Free Nation is led by Monty. And I'm not sure if you guys saw that tweet earlier where after a couple of rough games that you guys had, Yamato, Monty said, this is why you don't play in the LEC. They get shit on, and then the magic of the team is gone. He put that tweet out. He took a shot. And then you guys, in the week where reality was supposed to come crashing down upon you against MCOY, against G2, you rifle off 2 more wins and have, like, as everyone knows, the triumphant moment. Boss gets to play the boss way. He goes and kleds right into G2. G2 explodes in front of everyone. Hysterics, I think, who was on the call, got to explode as well. And now you have that marquee moment that a team craves, an organization craves. That's what Shifters is waiting for. They're waiting for that moment. You guys get it against G2. How did it feel as we dive into this week's Rat Tap?
It felt amazing, not gonna lie. You know, it is in competition though. I'm gonna be honest. It's like all triumphs are so short-lived. All I'm thinking about is this Navi loss, you know, because these guys just keep messing us up in scrims and also on stage. So that's in the back of my mind. But I'm trying to the moment beating G2. I think the part that felt so good was that I think it was by far our best game on stage. I think. All the sequencing in the early game, it wasn't like, oh, we outscaled them and then the enemy makes a mistake. I felt like we were in control. And to be in control against a team like G2, especially because they also just, what they did to us in scrims, this is haram. It felt very, very nice, we finally got to unleash, the free bird. That was also cool, but yeah. It's like one of those things. It's like you peel off one layer and now everybody knows, and then you got to think of the next layer, because the next day Anivia got banned, and we had to pivot, and we tried to do the Aurelion Soul and didn't work out for us, but that G2 moment felt pretty damn good. We are in the G2 offices, so it's like we get to see all the G2 homies sometimes, like the CEO, I believe, and they're very humble in victory and humble in defeat too. I have a lot of respect for the G2 guys, so it was cool to see Capsus and Nemesis having a crazy game, and it was just a moment of pride, because we expected that this weekend would be really hard, and it was, for sure it was, but 2-1 I think is a dream for sure.
Jamada, what did you make of the week for Los Ratones?
Slipped up a little bit there. I expected this week to be hard, and oh shit, I have to say, actually no, it still was. Not to be honest with you, of course, I'm happy to see results come out of a weekend like this, right? Much like Yamato was echoing, you're playing, the preseason expected, top 2, top 3, mixed in with Navi, who I think, again, still, even though they've kind of picked up a few more losses here and there, they still, to me, look like the most coherent team. Like, they are the team, to me, that look the most oiled, the most, comfortable with each other, compared to pretty much the rest of the field, right? I think this has been a very big narrative for a lot of the LEC teams, how many of them just kind of look very shaky, but I don't feel like I can say that about Navi still. But again, I think that adaptations keep on coming for LR. I think you guys are getting to grips more with how the game can be played on stage for you guys. I think that was a very big struggle week 1, beginning of week 2 as well, where, I think the very clear adaptation out of the first 2 games was, okay, kind of take a slightly simpler approach, play through bot a bit more, look to stack Drakes if we can get them, right? It's just the easiest way right now to play the game. And for me, that's kind of to focus a bit more on your guys' opponents from this weekend. It's what surprises me about G2 and MCOY this weekend was I felt like their prep was really bad into you guys. And not to take away anything from the success of the victories, but MCOY is blinding Cassante on 3 into you guys. What? This is insanity to me. Giving Baus that level of comfort to go, it's only Cassante. I guess I'll go Poppy, right? Or it's technically a flex when you take it in the spot you did. But I think realistically, if you were an LR watcher last year, you see Cassante and you see Poppy in that spot, I'm always expecting Poppy to go into Bowser's hands. And then even G2 as well. I think G2 giving you guys a very free Nami spot again. Like, it's a big point of criticism, I suppose is the right way to put it, that I've had for LR from last year and for Reckless in bot, where his champion pool is what it is. And I'm not saying it's inherently bad. And thankfully now, especially on the LEC stage, it's looked a lot better in terms of actual performance against strong teams. But, there's practically no Norless in there. The only real engaged champions that you're getting are Rakan and Rel, like Pseudo, I suppose, Alistar, right? Other than that, Reckless is most comfortable on Enchanters. And I feel like it's very strange that teams aren't kind of just pinning down on these points on your guys' kind of playstyle and preferred methods of getting over the line, both in draft and in game, a bit more. And I expected a bit more out of G2 and MKOI in that respect. And I think you guys punish them appropriately when they give you stuff like that. So, yeah. Whilst, again, I think it's great also because now I think they keep on posting the odds, I think, for you guys. I think you're somewhere in the high 60s, low 70s range for playoffs. I know you've got like decent head-to-heads as well with some of the teams around you. And fate is still wholeheartedly in your hands because you're playing direct compares, right? Next weekend, it's Vitality and SK. So I don't think you could have asked for a better setup, really, going into the final week, besides quite literally already being qualified for playoffs. So I think, of course, very successful weekend for LR. And it seems like, again, the only team really that pushed them both on Rift and in prep, at least from my perspective, was somehow Na'Vi out of the trio of teams that you guys played. And hopefully that's a learning lesson that you take into Vitality and into SK, because Vitality also had a surprisingly good weekend too. So now I think that shifted my perspective on this best of one, because they played two, maybe the cleanest League of Legends games I've seen all weekend.
And that was going to be my question, Jamada. What is the takeaway from the Na'Vi game? Since that's the freshest one, since that was, it feels like there's a couple things that you could that I could take away from it, but I think I'd rather hear from you in this one.
Honestly, I think, I don't know, draft is so damn important. I do think they outdrafted us. I think also it's like I just a lot of respect for Na'Vi. Honestly, I think their prep work in general from watching them is quite strong. I think Poby is just one of the best like mid laners in the league too. Like, I think it's like Nemesis, Caps, and Poby are like the three standouts for sure. I think it also it's a unique one because the Na'Vi coach and also like Mainzer, they have like experience playing against Los Ratones throughout the year. Like The Rock, Na'Vi's coach, was KCB's coach, and I think that also helps in terms of attacking where it hurts. So I think they just they basically just outdrafted us, and I think that they played to their conditions quite well. The takeaways is like you just have to go back to the kitchen. It's just the evolution of the layers. It's like you reveal your hand on one thing. For example, we played the Poppy into Cassante, we played the Nivea into Rise. Like now, when people are aware, like they're going to like change how they build their priorities against us, and that evolution is something that we need to always stay ahead of. And in between the days, Na'Vi had a good read, and definitely like. Even when I went off stage, I was like, damn, I could have done like 3, 4, 5 better decisions already to set us up for victory. So I take that game on myself pretty much.
When you take a look at this LEC versus experience, right, I think a lot of people thought it would be the KCB experience where you or KCB would beat each other and then you'd get ran by the rest of the league. How's it been proving that wrong? And that you guys belong, not only in as a mid-table team, but with the capability on the right day, with the right draft, you could take down G2 and MKOI.
I don't know. It's like it's weird because from my perspective, I only see it from the inside, right? So I only care about like the players' growth and the players like achieving their potential and us like addressing our issues and getting better. Like everything outside is just noise, like this detail that we shouldn't be able to beat teams or whatever. Like it's entertaining. I'm sure if I was watching and when I'm going to reflect on it, I'll care about it. But now it's like, especially like with what the LEC level is at, I feel like all of the teams are very, very inconsistent. Like you have upset wins having left and right, and I feel like there's a lot of opportunity to win because of BO1s, and I'm sure it's going to taper down and be a little bit more clear when it comes to best of threes. But I can't recall when the league was this even. You know, it's like the score lines are just insanely close. There's like a, you know, there's a KC sandwich, you know, with a KC on top of bread and KCB at the bottom, you know, like. But in the in between, it's like one team doesn't throw a 10k gold lead, and then suddenly like they are up there, or they don't win a 10k gold deficit and they're up there. Like we won against Shifters, but we also lost games that we probably should have won. And this like goes back and forth for a lot of teams. Like I saw, for example, yesterday. Like SK threw against GX, and that was a very crucial match. But GX just won that game, and I feel like it's very sporadic. And I think in that it's opportunity. So I don't really see an opponent as super hard. Navi was the one that I had a tremendous like respect for, just because I think that they have a very, very good way of like finding the frequency of what they need to lean into in the draft. And I think this is where other teams kind of struggle. Like a team like G2, I think they are really, really good. But I think that in terms of how they draft on this season, for example, is very like outdated, and they're trying to like find their frequency. Yeah.
To answer the question, then Jamada, who is the best team in the LEC?
Ooh, I mean, just to take the easy way out, it's just just to take the easy way out, it's probably KC. It's hard though, because I'm really rocking with this Navi team, but it's really hard to gauge where that ceiling is going to be, because again, best of ones. It's a weird state. It's a weird state that we haven't really seen out of the LEC in a while, where there is this much like air quotes parity between like, you know, I think right now it's 3 wins between like 2nd and 8th or something silly, right? That's just the nature of the league. But KC, they're kind of looking to remain very, very consistent. Out of like, you look at the start of their last year to now, Busio also has looked pretty damn good on this lineup, which I don't think anyone should have not expected. And if anything, I think Yahoo has, or is it? I think it's supposed to be Yahoo. I was saying Yahoo for a while. It's just Yahoo, or Yahoo.
Yahoo.
Accent withstanding. Has just had to exist in this team so far. He's not really had to have like a big, huge pop-off moment, and I think that's fine for KC. So yeah, I'll probably just take KC as the breadwinner here for the time being.
Any surprise answers, Yamato?
I would add also. I think KC, just how they are clicking in fights is just better than everybody else. I think. I don't think they're doing anything spectacular in terms of how they play their map. Like either they win because they're winning lanes, or the game progresses to the point where like you just see like how well they team fight. Like you see Kana Rumble, it's not the same as other Rumbles. Like Kalis is also playing super well. I think Busio is the one that like is, you know, I can imagine there's like an adjustment period. Imagine moving from LA to cold ass Berlin. It's minus 10 degrees, you know, like freezing your balls off. You try to order takeout. It's like, yo, what the fuck is this? I come
What's
from
sauerkraut,
LA,
bro? Like, what the hell is this? Yeah.
Okay. But I know a good schnitzel place, you know, like just, what are we saying, you know? And it's like, I know the KC office is like in the middle of nowhere too, you know, I was there. So it's like, bro, you have burger, and then there's another place that is burger and döner, and then there's one that has the triple, you know, burger, döner, and pizza. And then, you know, like, I don't know if KC upgraded their catering, you know, but it's like, bro, that's a shift, you know. You move from LA, life's good, you know. You end the scrim days early, you know. You have maximum, you comfort maxing, and I think Busi has had like a slower start, but I think when he kicks into gear, KC will be even more dangerous. Like even the game we played against them, it's like we were beating them on the map. We were ahead on gold in some cases, but they had like summoners down in crucial moments. But then it's like the way they fight and the way they play the fights is just, yeah, mechanically this team is just really stacked, I would say.
Yeah. Give me 1 second.
Bro, I heard Christmas noise. Is that your door?
Who's at the door, bro?
Holy, bro.
Yeah, who's
Santa
at the door,
Claus, bro?
Yeah.
Okay, we can keep going.
Yeah, I
bro,
guess,
Navi, man. Bro, Navi, bro, The Rock is my dad, bro. Like, it's like WWE, bro. He's just Batista bombing me. Like, it's just Dwayne Johnson is bogging me, bro. Like,
you've been rock bottom is the appropriate language there. Yeah, I will say very excited for like the teams right now that are called in to playoffs, right? It's KC, GX, and Navi. GX is a weird one to me though, because I feel like unlike like let's say KC, I see Ginex have some terrible clicks in fights at times.
Yeah.
Like it really swings in roundabouts of this team. And I think they really need to find a way to kill that volatility. I think individually there's a lot of like things that I'm seeing from players like, let's say for example, and it's always the easy guy to pick on, but I'm sorry, it's Jackie's, right? Like Jackie's is still the same fundamental player that he's been since the 2024 like introduction split, where it's like, you know what you're going to get out of him. Hands wise, he's going to be fine, but on the map, he's going to be a little bit dizzy, right? He's going to be in situations where he shouldn't be getting caught on side wave. The like one more wave mentality has never really like been stomped out of his play. And I think stuff like that when you're playing against, you know, obviously domestically like the best teams in the league, but then like hell in some kind of weird circumstance where, you know, you do end up playing an international tournament, that's the kind of stuff you just get, you lose an entire game on. An entire like series on. So I think for them, that's something they need to work on. But Noah and Jun have continued to look like a really, really consistent pairing. So that's good. I'm happy with that. And Lot as well on the opposite side of the map has, I think, I wouldn't say like waned off, but I think when Lot came into the league, he surprised a majority of us last year. And I don't think he's necessarily evolved too heavily beyond that. Like, if he's in a good matchup, you know he's gonna be up 20 CS or 10 CS or whatever it is in the matchup, and then he's gonna like run away with it. If he's got the freedom to do so in team fights, he's not really like shown us much more beyond that on occasion to me.
Sorry about that. Yeah, the gas
Coupon?
in Korea, they have to check your gas meter, like in person. And so I told her come back tomorrow. Sorry, everybody. That was weird. All right. Well, Los Ratones, maybe not the best. KC, the best team right now, but still the potential there and still playoffs in hand. And then again, shout outs to Los Gigantes. Anytime we can shout out that team. And also Jamada, early adopter of Navi. I will give you your props there as well. So there it is. This week's Rat Tap. We'll see what happens with 2 more games to play here for Yamato and the Rats as they continue to push for that playoff spot. Very, very tightly contested moving on forward here. Now, as we move on over to the LPL, there was maybe a little bit of news that you might have heard about. Superstar top laner, very clearly top 3 top laner in the world, Bin for Billy Gaming, decided to leave the gaming house. He apparently stepped away, and it was published across the internet. Bin is gone. To the point where Billy then promoted their junior academy top laner, saying, all right, we welcome him here, blah, blah, blah. Wish him the best. And that leads us to this week's Everything's on Fire. Bin leaving BLG in the middle of the season and then coming back. Let's talk about it. So, again, this was the weirdest thing ever. I've never heard of this happening at that level. You know, obviously all teams have friction and conflict, but for Bin to have that so publicly, you know, he knows what's going to happen. he publicly gets in a tiff with the owner and then just leaves. And then the team has to scramble and make these public announcements because there are regulations based off of like who can play and roster eligibility. And then they just walk it back. And they're like, okay, it's cool. Have you ever heard anything like that before? And what did you make of this whole situation, Yamato?
Was Yamato or Yamada, bro? Our names are
Yamato. I know. Yamato.
Hey,
go on, bro.
No, it's we had like there's similar occurrences coming out of LPL Perma. Like we had the whole FPX situation with like their top laner and the manager. The manager like kicked out the player and he was homeless, and then he didn't come back to the team, and then he came back and then it was awkward, and then he played bad. Like it was I don't know. It's just weird because that we're taking the liberty to basically trust all these LPL Twitter accounts, you know? And it's like we are getting the information through them. So we're just relaying like what are translations. And bro, if somebody, bro, like if Christopher Nolan was out there and writing narratives and shit, you know, he would think of crazy stuff like this, you know, just in leaving. But it just taps into what I mentioned before, you know, like Billy is like they made all these changes with jungle, and I feel like they're always coping about the issues. And I don't know what the standoff was with Bin, but I can imagine like a player of Bin's stature. We've always heard of like LPL players have within teams like massive egos. You know, it's like as if salaries represent your worth in the truest sense. And I think that as far as I remember even back in season 2, 3, 4, 5, it was always these stories of like LPL players being like, you know, really up here in their demands. Like I remember the story. There was a player that like went to LPL and then he had a request in his contract that he would only bathe in like bottled water, you know? So like they had someone pour in like bottled water in his like fucking water tank, you know? So it's like, you know, we don't know the exact details of what went down, but I do think it's funny that it's like, oh, they put in this guy, and then the official, not the official story. That's the last word I should use for this. But the story we have is that Shun had to like go back to his hometown as if it's like some spin-off episode. You know, it's like watching Attack on Titan. It's like, oh, there's these 3 side episodes that give you a little bit of backstory. That's what that was. Shun going back to his hometown. We get to see how like Bin grew up. It's like, oh, that's the local burger shop he went to or some shit, and he had to like bring him back to the team. And then when he's back, they just business as usual. They won. Nobody gives a damn. Everyone forgets. It's a crazy story, but it really focuses in on what I mentioned the previous episode. That Billy just they're in this position where the players are in full control, and it's like, bro, like if let's say they don't win, you know, this split, which is entirely very possible that they don't, right? And then it's like, oh, who are we benching? Who are we removing? Who are we blaming? Like, what's happening? Are we kicking the coaches? Are we like kicking the chef? Maybe they didn't like the food or something. And it's like it's on the whims of the players. That's how it feels like. Because in the end, you know, I feel like the whole saga of benching junglers has been that. The whole saga of like removing a coach and then bringing back in. Like I remember that whole story when they like removed their coach Bigway like mid-series, and then they made a statement. It's like, no. We just did it for strategic reasons. We're like, and then it's like 2 weeks later, he's out of the team, and it's like, no shit. And it's just you don't know what to expect. It's like it just seems so unserious, very player driven, but player driven in the worst sense. But this team has talent. But this whole saga is just hilarious.
Jamada, what did you make?
It's the turnaround on it. I think that's just fucking hilarious, right? Like, and obviously we're getting this information secondhand, like Yamato was saying, but it felt like very much we got the information. I think it was Thursday, like kind of somewhat middle of the day for Europe, and then within 3 or 4 hours, we're then getting updates that everything's all right. And Bin's actually playing tomorrow. Like he's been fielded for the top esports series. Which the absolute keynote of it all is that they lost the top esports the day after. So you're just thinking, okay, so they've had this massive drama. where Bin has, who knows what's been said and what hasn't been said, right? For Bin to walk out, we've gotten to steal Yamato's analogy, but kind of go a slightly different. It's like the Sasuke retrieval arc out of Naruto, except it's successful. They get him back. He doesn't go after Orochimaru. They actually secure him, and he comes back to the team, and then he's shit, or like the team shits themselves the next series. I think everyone mentally is just going, oh no, like, is this gonna be the big spiral, right? Is this now gonna be the turning point where this team goes from having, you know, effectively the most exciting prospects, I would say, out of any LPL team, just simply on getting Viper, but then also, of course, you know, regaining Shun in jungle, to having some massive drama be there undoing 3.5 weeks into the LPL year. And then thankfully for them, they 2-0'd Weibo and IG very, very cleanly, back to back. So it seems like nothing ever really happened, I guess, with BLG. But yeah, these things, especially in China, you know, there's no shortage of stories about players having arguments with management and you know, major disagreements. I think it's just the theatrics of this particular story and the turnaround time make it feel very, very unique to how it played out. And just, again, the fact that we're obviously so disconnected from you know, Chinese media as a whole. We have to get all of our information secondhand through, you know, investigative journalism, shall we say, and secondhand translations. Just kind of added to, again, the funniness of it all.
Yeah. And just it feels like, because it is not only the star of BLG, which is a team full of stars, but it's Bin, who is one of the premier top laners in the world, whose personality is shine through, whose play demands that level of attention. When he does anything, it is noticed. But the fact that there was a picture of him in his hometown during the week, and then just panic, it reminds me of those types of meltdowns that usually teams don't come back from. However, despite all the theatrics, the markets are still favoring anyone's legend just slightly here. So according to Polymarket, however, it does feel like, if everything's back in order, these are two of the best teams in the LPL going head to head later on in Billy's next match. So we'll see what happens, but that was the fire that happened this week. It was everyone just kind of wondering what the heck was going on with Billy and with Bin in a stalemate. But it eventually swings the way of cooler heads prevailing and BLG getting their super team back. You know, the true tragedy of all this is Viper. Like, Viper cannot catch a break. He starts with Griffin, and then Griffin has the whole Sword, Doran, CV Max thing. And then with Hanwha Life Esports, you know, he joins after winning a world championship, and then the Clid jungle thing, and they had to use Young Grizzly. And then, you know, it was Viper Life Esports for a while in the last several years. Now he goes on over there, and this Bin thing just kind of blows up. Like, Viper just,
I mean, hey,
he needs some stability.
Can't catch a break. Can't catch a break. Agreed. Does need some stability around him. Agreed. Don't know if he's, hopefully, you know, the whole 2-0 thing is going to start that. Technically, especially in the first series, Viper dropped some serious log off on IG's head, bro. Like, it was, it felt like some serious, like, hey, like, Viper, we knew you had it like that, but like, did you have to do it to IG? Like, come on now. But that's yeah, I agree. Like, hopefully for Viper and for BLG, Viper can have some more performances like that, especially if the top side is going to look a little bit more volatile. If it's going to look a little bit more volatile off the back of all of this nonsense.
All right. Well, that was this week's. Everything is on fire, and we'll keep a close eye on how it all shakes out here for the LPL stalwart Billy Gaming. All right. Before we continue on, it's time to remind you about our friends over at Raycon. This message is sponsored by Raycon. With the Super Bowl And the Winter Olympics this month, there's no better time to get inspired, push harder, and upgrade your workout routine. Whether you're training consistently, the right gear makes all the difference. I've been using Raycon's Everyday Earbuds Classic, and they've completely changed how I work out. The active noise cancellation blocks out distractions so I can fully lock in whether I'm running, lifting, or training hard. And my music stays crisp and powerful. My podcasts, like ours, are crystal clear, and I stay focused from start to finish. And right now is the perfect time to grab them because they're 15% off. Now, Raycon's Everyday Earbuds Classic is packed with upgrades. They've got active noise cancellation, multi-point connectivity so you can pair with 2 devices at once, and a super comfortable ergonomic design that stays put no matter what you're doing. The new colors are awesome. Personally, I've got the rose gold. I've loved it. It's been great. I haven't seen earbuds in many of the other colors that they've offered before, though, and they feel like an accessory that can accentuate your personality. And here's the kicker. Raycon delivers the same premium audio quality as the big brands, but at half the price. And with over 3 million happy customers and a 30-day happiness guarantee, there's zero reason to overpay. So head on over to buyraycon.com/powerspike to get 15% off the Everyday Earbuds Classics. They're here to help you go for gold. That's buyraycon.com/powerspike to get 15% off. Thanks to our friends over at Raycon for making it happen. I've used them so much. I've refilled them. I guess reordered them multiple times as I lost them because they've been my go-to. Thanks to our friends over at Raycon. All right. Now, we go from one fire, which was more potential, to another fire in the LCK. We've been holding back a little bit on it, but it's finally here. Hanwha Life Esports have crashed out of LCK Cup, out of first stand contention, as I think Ox put it during Pog State. He said 100% of teams who've won first stand have gone out in 10th place in the LCK Cup. And that fact will now remain true probably forever because this was one of the biggest blowups in terms of talent and placement ever. And that's what we're here to debate. That's this week's Keeper Kick. It's the biggest super team fail. Is it Hanwha Life Esports or any other super team that you can think of? And we'll argue about it right after this. Let's get into it. All right. So think of super teams, LGD comes to mind, KT roster, Vitality, when they stuck that roster together, Team Liquid, they did it as well. All the major regions have fallen prey to super team construction. But how many have world champions? How many have Asian game champions? How many have LCK champions? It's not like, hey, we've got this good potential guy. These guys are winners, and they put them all together, and it crashed and burned. So where do you see this as like the biggest fail? Since you look at the names on this roster, it's Zeus and Gumayushi. You have Kanavi, you have Zeka, and then Delight maybe is like the one that has the least amount of accolades. And for them not to fall in the finals, not for them to fall in the semifinals, not for them to fall in playoffs, not for them to fall in play-ins, they got 10th place. They got 10th place. So, Jamada, I allow you go first. What other super teams comes to mind here?
I mean, the other one that, and I don't know how much you qualify it, would be the Reckless transfer to G2 and not qualifying to Worlds that year. I don't like just because but I think this one is made more because of how high the bar was for G2 in general, right? They're coming off the back of like some ridiculous amount of domestic title wins back to back. That stretch of time, of course, they won MSI in 2019. So I think it was 21, right? 21 is the year they don't qualify to Worlds. That's the year that they pick up Reckless. That would be one that's on my radar.
Who did they lose to
even
that year?
Yeah, I wonder who would that have been? Who would that have been, Yamato? Do you wanna tell us, or you just gonna drop that one in there?
I can't recall.
Oh, you can't recall. Okay, well, maybe we can get someone on the wiki to quickly fact check that for us as we continue on. I mean, yeah, but this HLE lineup, I mean, it's just funny when you like, because now for the rest of time, you're gonna go to the results page, see a big fat 10, and just wonder, what the fuck happened here? Like, imagine it's like a historian or like an archaeologist going to a dig site and just seeing the most fucked up shit ever and just not knowing what happened. Like, they have to try and piece it together through nothing. Or like, you know how people now, like, there's like a lot of ancient lost languages. This is to me what the LCK Cup 2026 is gonna look like when people remember that HLE somehow managed to place 10th. But yeah, like, we can dig on the format, Not qualifying into playoffs with this roster is just ridiculous. No matter how you slice it, like, again, there's loads of angles you can take, right? But the fact that HLE, even in this short amount of time, the caliber of players that they have, the experience of players that they have, they couldn't figure it out to just not come bottom of the group is insane. They could, and of course, it was still in their hands going into the Gen G series, right? I think game 2 they had remind me, Dgon, 4.5, 5K gold lead, something like ridiculous. They
4,000 gold lead.
They had a comfortable enough lead to close out the game. And they could do it in a timely manner, and they still managed to trip over themselves. Is the most kind analysis I can give of how that game managed to close out. Yeah, just incredibly disappointing. They needed one win under 34 minutes and some change, or like just 2 wins, and that's it. They would have been fine. They didn't even have to win the series. Like, that's the worst part. They didn't even have to win the series, and they still managed to get 3-0'd by Gen G. Now, I was saying I hope that this is like their road to MSI moment from last year, where it's like, this is where the rebuild like mentally begins. Because we had a lot of dialogue out of the HLE team after that happened, right? You guys had Zeus come on the space as well and like really kind of give his detailed thoughts on that. I think that obviously that was a few months after it happened in summer. So hopefully for that team, this is that moment where now they can go away, because gosh, they're not playing until April almost now. Like, isn't that insane? The roster with Zeus, Kanavi, Zeka, Guma.
Imagine much you're getting paid to chill.
Like, yo, actually, now we figured it out. Like, they just get 3 months on this bomb-ass contract and not do fucking anything. But yeah, like, it's a lot of time now to go away. Even when, teams come here for first stand, right? They're probably going to be able to scrim them because they're HLE, right? They're like or at least the Chinese teams and any other teams that come to boot camp as well. So it'll still be a very productive time for them, and hopefully that's enough time to figure out what's going on. And I mean, the obvious fingers you can point, the Light, right? The Light had a pretty stinky time in general, but like his series I think was really hard and rough, especially the game 3. And then I guess Kanavi might spiritually just be Chinese forever. That's the only thing I can think. He's got to have an off button, man. Like, they've got to find it. They've got to find it, and they've got to figure out a way to turn it off, because it's just like, now Kanavi is just a bit one-track minded. And I guess he's always to a point been this way, but it doesn't seem like these HLE laners want a jungler like that, right? So they need to come to terms with each other on how they see the game and how they want to play the game, because it feels like they're on different stratospheres when it comes to just even the minute details a lot of the time in early games.
Yeah. Fact check complete. It was the Yamato Cannon coached Fnatic that did do in G2 in the lower bracket run where Fnatic started. They beat Vitality, beat Misfits, knock out G2, and then beat Rogue, and then eventually lose to the under 50% Mad Lions for best of 5s or whatever that record was. Also,
that was a crazy finals, in fairness.
This was the Adam roster as well, which is
Jungle baby, come on now.
I forgot you were part of that too, Yamato. Oh my god.
Put Jungle baby, come on now.
Whippo Jungle. Oh man, this was discarded Niski as well when they were like, yeah, we don't, Niski is Cloud9 move on from Niski, they get perks. That was, man, Niski. All right. Anyways, we're going down memory lane a little bit too much here. Hanwha Life Esports here, Yamato. When you think of other super teams that have failed harder, who comes to mind, and then what do you think of this roster? Given the fact that they still have the rest of the season to figure it out, but the level of collapse, it feels super high for the talent that's there.
I think the main thing for me, like first and foremost, we talked about Viper not getting relief on Billy. Bro, he must feel amazing watching Italy.
He's getting relief.
First.
He's getting relief. It's just not.
And then you say, which one's the bigger fire? Bro, Hanwha Life is in ashes, bro. Like, the fire's done. It's cooked. Actually, the main thing, if I want to play like the lawyer here is, guys, the format doesn't represent the skill accurately, and blah 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 blah. If anything, the format is strange in the sense that you only get to play teams once, and then they got Genji in the BO5. Genji is kind of goated, right, in the LCK. So that's like the only thing. Like, sure, they're playing like ass. Like the ITIS is really, really bad. But in the grand scheme of things, I think still, even though I was very harsh in the sense that I think that people were hyping these roster changes, but I think it was because of name value. I was excited as a fan of Kanavi to see Gumyushi on a different team too, and to see the rivalry, between T1 and Gumyushi, Keria and Gumyushi separating and seeing how they evolve. Like, all of that is super hype. But HLE's roster was insane last year. And another detail about Delight is that I think all of his years of success was with Peanut. And whatever you want to say about Peanut playing mechanical shit, whatever, his Zyra is disgusting, or was disgusting. Maybe he's practicing on stream or some shit. It's just, he like Delight is playing with a legendary player that always, when he was on teams, shored up the macro, shored up the decisions in terms of how they play on the map. And that was like the Peanut Delight combo. And now Delight is without that guy, and here comes Kanavi. He said, I think this fight is good. It's like, bro, the game hasn't started, bro. Relax, bro. Like, he's just in Champions Select, bro. He's just seeing demons, Kanavi. So it's like, Delight has, a lot to catch up on, because his success came with a very particular player. And I always become wary of players that thrive under those circumstances, because it does just seem like HLE lack clear, like they have no leadership in the game. Like, they have some individually good players, and then sometimes where the meta is at for Delight has been difficult, but there's no leadership to kind of put it together. And it also doesn't help that, in my mind, like the whole Zeka 1 month a year thing, like it's cute, but I feel like everything else around them is just leveling up. And to this day, it's still painful. Like, sometimes the community gets it right in the sense that, oh, this team should get BDD. It's like, I wish, bro. I wish, BDD is now on KT, and now these guys are with Zeka. Like, sometimes the LCK, off seasons are tough. Thank God for T1 and Genji for putting together these giga super rosters, and D+ keeping it interesting and getting rid of Battle finally. Thank you. But But actually, I wouldn't be surprised if they land still top 3, top 4 as the year progresses, because I do think the format is cruel. But this is going to be a really, really tough journey. I just don't see I don't think they're gonna touch Genji T1 ever this entire year. Never.
Is there another super team?
Oh yeah, shit! I forgot the question.
Here?
Sorry, Dgon.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
Something that came to mind was Alliance back in 2015.
Oh,
so
wow.
Alliance Elements.
Wow, yeah.
Because 2014 they were the strongest European team, and then they got kaboomed at Worlds. You guys remember this shit? With LEP or whatever his name was. Like, he was 0-14-2. Like, with that picture with him smiling with his glasses on. Yeah, classic. And then like they got kaboomed, and then it's like, ooh, Reckless joined this team, insane. He joins over, and it's like Shook is, I don't know what the Shook is doing, Froggen, they don't make playoffs. Reckless next split goes to Fnatic, they go 18-0, bro. They are smurfing. He just see you, bro. I don't know what the hell happened with that Elements roster, but either they're just gonna run, the whole league.
That is a great shout. Like they were. Oh god, that roster was so and for good reason too. Like it wasn't even like a
giga stack.
It was ridiculous.
And then I'm gonna call out that one instead of HLE because it's too soon. The format is kind of wonky in the sense of like really like if it was, I think it was a longer term BO3 format where they played like double round robin or single round robin. I think it would have evened out a little bit more. But in this context and it being so early, HLE could turn into the worst super team of all time. But for now, I think it's a little bit too early. And I think the fact that that team didn't make playoffs in a regular split, and then, that team never really recovered, like that was pretty much the end of so many like legendary careers, like Frogan or whatever. Like Frogan went to NA and he like had to play with Echo Fox and like a bunch of randoms and struggled over there, like it was the end of an era, pretty much.
Yeah, that's a good shout. You would know better. Maybe you would know better, Yamato, but I always felt like Tabs was underappreciated. Like, obviously, if you had the opportunity to get Reckless at that time, it felt like the right move. You have...
No, for sure it was the right move. Yeah, for sure.
But it just felt like Tabs was solid. He was like, he does his job. He was do your job AD carry, but you swapped it out for
He was the ghost, bro.
Explosive
He was the ghost.
AD carry. Yeah, he was the ghost. Yeah. That's a pretty good one. Anyways, that I appreciate the super team reference there all the way back to Alliance. For those of you in chat, let us know in the comments, let us know what super team collapse you would compare this to. Because there are super teams where it did work out. There was success. You get perks. You win a championship the first time, Cloud9. You get double lift. You win a shit ton. You swap out Ole with Core JJ. Now you win 2 more. Like that was Jensen as well. Sorry, Pope. So Team Liquid was the super team at that time. With these results, though, here for Hanwha Life Esports, the LCK markets, or according to Polymarket, have looked very tough for Hanwha. They're down 41%. So only 7% of the market believes that they will win LCK. So kind of crazy to think how strong this team was on paper. And then when it came to reality, not so good. Prospects not looking so good right off the jump. But also the fact that Gen.G and T1 are there in the LCK leading the way as they always do, but in a way that looks like World's form. Kind of crazy. That was this week's Keep or Kick. Let us know, would you keep or kick other super team failures like the Team Liquid one? All right. Now, before we continue, it's time to remind you about our friends over at Prize Picks. Now, the big game is almost here, and there's no better way to cash in during America's biggest sporting event than Prize Picks, where it always feels good to be right. And this week, Prize Picks has a special max discount for the big game live in the app now. Drake May, quarterback for New England, just needs 1 passing yard for the max discount to win. Just add another player to your lineup, and if your pick hits, you can cash in. Now, Prize Picks, super easy to use, super simple. It's just more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections, and if you get your picks right, you can cash in. And Prize Picks now has early payouts. If your player gets off to a hot start, and you now have the option to cash out those winnings before the game even finishes. And if your fantasy team and your fantasy league is already over, don't worry about it. Prize Pick has you covered. You can hop on in now, and you don't have to wait till next year's draft to keep playing fantasy. Prize Picks lets you play fantasy football every week, even in the playoffs and the big game. So pick your favorite players and win when they hit their projections every week. No draft required. Join millions of users and sign up for America's #1 sports pick app. Download the Prize Pick app today and use the code POWERSPIKE to get $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. That's code POWERSPIKE to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. All right. Now, we touched on it a little bit earlier when we were talking about the top teams in the LEC, but now it's time to go to the bottom. Who's going to make playoffs? Who's going to make that final cut there? We're a little high key, low key, no key on the teams that are making it on in for the LEC playoffs. Let's jump into it. High key, low key, no key, the LEC playoffs. Okay, so the way this is going to work, one team that's definitely in, one team that might sneak in, that maybe other people don't think, and a team that's not going to make it. Obviously, KCB are mathematically eliminated, so they won't make it, so we won't use them. Yamato, let's go with you. You have some insights here. So who do you think you can give all three? High key, low key, and no key.
All right, the high keys, I think, is like, the G2 and the Koi just on schedule, being on 5 wins. It's like, I think that's a pretty safe lock. I could imagine, I think it's just, that's just high key, easy peasy, no problem. The low key, it's fucking us. Come on now. It's like the most exciting match is going to be us versus SK because it decides so damn much. It's like we need to beat them in the head-to-head, and then it's like we have a massive pile-up. It's like Abu Dhabi, Lewis Hamilton versus, frickin' Max Verstappen, and I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna slam, we're gonna get Sion for some reason. I'm gonna say it's motor racing Toto, and then we're gonna drift all over SK's foreheads. That's just the matchup against SK is the massive one.
No, that's not right.
That's not right, Michael.
That is so not right, Michael.
Mickey X, that is so not right. That is just our matchup against SK. I feel really, really good coming into that one. That's going to be deciding so much. We have like Shift is there, SK is there. SK is on 3 wins, Shift is on 3 wins, and Team Heretics, we have the head-to-head against them, and they have Fnatic KC in their scheduling. So I think like out of to fight for the final spot, I think mathematically and positionally we are in the best spot because the other teams need to either win 2 and Team Heretics need to also win 2 to get over us because of the head-to-head. So we feel really good. We have head-to-head against Shifters, head-to-head against Team Heretics, but we need to, of course, that SK game is so damn important because we got to beat them, plain and simple. We got to beat them. And if for some reason we don't, we have to beat Vitality and hope the Shifters beats SK. So it's like a lot of things are moving. But to keep it simple, we are gonna beat SK. Come on now. And then the no key, I think like Team Heretics, even though they have 4 on score, I think the fact that they play Fnatic and KC, I think they're gonna be my no key. They're not gonna make it. SK is not gonna make it. Shifters not gonna make it. Screw all of them. They're my competition. We're gonna mess them up.
All right. You went through every team. It was not like Dark Horse making it on in. It was just letting them know. Jamada, how do you see this one playing on out?
I mean, honestly, it's kind of hard to disagree with Yamato's takes and angle here because mathematically LR are in this like super ridiculous spot where they hold a majority of the power with this SK matchup. I need to check what happens on that day as well because depending on who plays what, in what order as well, like it could a lot of it could get like soft locked. I think on that first day. Excuse me. But yeah, I mean, high key, very obvious. Again, yeah, it's your G2 Koi Fnatic, that like clump. I would also be very surprised if Vitaly Magic, like the bar. I think is the weird thing is the bar is like kind of high to lock playoffs. I think people are expecting it to kind of be the what do you call it, like kind of the 4 wins gives you like guaranteed tiebreak, and it doesn't even really seem like that's going to be the case anymore. No. In fact, I'm not even sure if mathematically it can be the case anymore.
Nope.
No, yeah, there you go. So
I've gone through the cases.
Yamada has been crunching the numbers. Like 4 is not enough to even lock you tiebreak scenario anymore. So I think the teams on 5 realistically are really, really comfortable. the low key has to just be LR. Like there is no other correct low key take because they have the SK matchup and they've got the head to head on the teams below them. The only other team that they couldn't have the head to head on, they face. So they literally have that's in their control whether or not they get the head to head. And if they win, of course, they get to 5 wins. And they also have a match against Vitality who they could very well beat because even though they had a great weekend, Vitality have like do consistency and Vitality ever go in the same bucket? Realistically, like no, it doesn't. And then yeah, I'm just big time low key in general on SK and Shifters. To quote Nuke, they all can't press their fucking buttons together, seemingly. Right?
So no, they couldn't.
Correct.
They couldn't at that time. At that time, they couldn't.
At that time,
and I'll explain why.
And go ahead. No, do it now. Let's explain. Go.
So my low key is actually Shifters.
How?
And here's why.
How?
It's mainly because MKOI has a sneaky difficult strength of schedule here, right? MKOI have to play Vitality, same record, and your boys in Na'Vi. And so MKOI could be 5-6, and Shifters play last place KCB and SK, who could theoretically already be out if Los Ratones knock them out. And if that's the case,
okay.
5-6.
This is a good cook. Okay, hold on.
5-6. 5-6. Hey, guess who Shifters beat? Oh, that's right. They beat MKOI. So they have the head-to-head against MKOI. MKOI might find themselves on the outside looking in. That's my low key. That's the only one I'm cooking with. I think
it's the only reasonable cook now that I've thought about it.
Holy moly, bro. This one deserves a bomba clad, bro. Like, that's a...
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, it is. But it's like a slow, like melodrama bomba clad. He's right. Yeah. Yeah, man.
So, but I do think that it requires the Los Ratones game 1 win, right? And the craziness after that and Shifters to take care of business. But keep your eyes on that Vitality and MKOI match. It theoretically should go the way of MKOI. But as Yamato said earlier, like the matches are really close. The parity in the clump is pretty clear. And Shifters had, they're in it. The fact that they have beaten a quality opponent there means that they have the opportunity to do one of the funniest things here and lead us to crazy tiebreakers. I would hate to be, what is that? The sheet, the foldy sheet, I think they call it in LCS, of all the different tiebreaker scenarios because it is a massive, massive clump. Let us know who your high key, low key, no key is to make it on in. We'll keep Fnatic in there. That's my high key. High key, Fnatic. Low key, MKOI out. Shifters in. So I guess, and then no key, SK is probably, unfortunately, the one that you have to sacrifice there. All right. That was our quick LEC playoff high key, low key, no key. Finally, let's get to Galaxy Brain Club, where we just talked the news of the third week of matches, except for LCS. It was the second week, and big things that kind of popped up and caught our eyes. So let's get to it. This week's Galaxy Brain Club. All right. So other than Bin and Hanwha Life Esports burning on fire, let's spread some love. El Dominico, our boy co-host here, who also decided to chase the unmatched feeling of victory in the realm of battle. With Cloud9, they find themselves another series victory. Looked solid throughout. Thanatos looking like a monster. But so too did FlyQuest. FlyQuest again with this group of young kids and another stupid Griffin performance. But as well as Gakkos performing as well, it feels like LCS is fun to watch. Jamada, what do you make of the LCS?
Look, LCS has been fun to watch for a little while. I think since kind of halfway through 2024, But there's something about this split in particular that, to me, it's like, again, very similarly in a way to the conclusion of the parity looks like it can be very tight in the LCS. But also because we actually just have best of threes here with obviously less teams, but the best of threes like kind of give you a better scope and a better idea of what these teams can actually do over the course of Fearless, but just 2, there's more time, right? And I think the other thing, when you think about schedule, because it's an 8-team league and they're only playing one best of 3 a weekend right now, they're getting realistically 4.5 to 5 days of scrims in a week into one stage game. These teams look a lot more polished than I'm used to seeing NA teams look at the beginning of a year. Now, there's definitely some teams, some outlier, like, are they gonna win? Fuck it, an individual game against anyone other than Shopify Rebellion? I don't know, right? That roster looks rough to me. But the rest of the field, even Shopify, right? I know I just kind of like soft dunked on them by dunking on Dig, but Shopify to me look like a team that they at least have a little bit of hunger in their play, right? I can still see them taking games off of good teams, and then of course, I think the fact that FlyQuest have seemingly come in with such a high floor, I think compared at least to my expectations of, all right, this team in winter is probably going to be like, capped at fourth.
Yeah,
capped at fourth realistically. The other rosters look really good. You've got obviously your Cloud9, your Team Liquid, your Lion, your Sentinels, right? Like even your Sentinels. The fact that so far FlyQuest have come in and they've kind of just doggied on their opponents, like back to back. They could have very easily 2-0'd Disguise. Like that didn't have to go to 3 games. I think is really, really good looks for FlyQuest. C9 look by far and away to me like the strongest team right now. And I think that's what's really cool, and I guess we get to kind of glaze him as our ex co-host, is like you can tell the coaching impact on this team. Like you can look at the prep, you can look at objective setup, you can look at like all of the weaknesses. It feels like to me about 2025 C9 look like they're being addressed in gameplay right now, and then on top of that, you're getting incredibly like APA is this is the best I've seen APA look in a long time. Yeah. APA is and he's still doing the yapping in chat as well. Like he's same guy, but his level of play is up here right now. So yeah, the entire league just looks really fun. My only real question mark is kind of Lion, because obviously they had their first series against Dig. When you really look at the games, it's like I think there was the first one was the Stomp, the second one was like, oh no, I think it was the second one was the Stomp, the first one was like, like, all right, like they closed out, but it didn't have to be as messy as it ended up being. And then of course C9 kind of put him in a blunt. Like once the what were they calling it? The Nocturne Oriana combo just like kind of whiffed a few times. It's just like, okay, this comp has nothing in it. And then second game was a complete schlacking. So I don't know. I need to see Lion against more of the field before I can like give assessment. But they still look like they'll be top half.
Yeah. Yamato, what did you make of some of these moves here so far from the LCS and in the LCS teams?
I think C9 for me, I think they are the smartest team in the league, and I think they really need to be, right? Like, they are. Let's say the average age of C9 in comparison to some of these other teams, bro, they are relics, bro. When I say this with the utmost love and respect, it's like Blabber, Sven, like if I think of like firepower, these are not players that I think of, right, at this point in their career. Like, but Sven is a very smart player, even though, like, bro, I still, that final they played against FlyQuest last year, I thought he was the best performing player, which just speaks to his experience and his pedigree, right? It's just, I think this team so far has showcased that they are smarter. Props to Dom. I think, like, in terms of how they move on the map, the setups, I think there's a very clear line that you can follow through. There's a very clear logic, while the other teams are quite inconsistent. The only thing that could worry me is that as things progress, there's like a lot of players that I feel like have like a high ceiling, like if things are done just right. Like I think like the FlyQuest roster, especially with the track record of their current coach. I feel like that's a team that could catch up on those skills. And then the question is if they can really, really highlight their individual skill and elevate that. I'm not so sold on Quad. I feel like he's so back and forth, and I had my issues with him even last year. But I'm just thinking about that kind of measurement. It's like, if I think of a ceiling of a team, is usually kind of decided by how good the players are mechanically. And I do think that on that level, there is competition for C9. But the macro aspect and how you play on the map, how you move on the map, these are things that you can learn, but there's a lot of teams that don't. And I hope the C9 maintain that advantage. And I think probably for this split, I think they look like a clear favorite in my mind. But it is something that can shift. If a meta shifts and suddenly it's like hyper carries in the bot lane, then I can imagine like a player like Berserker just being like, okay, let's show up big time. Like in the right meta, in the right context, there's certain players like Inspired, Berserker, maybe they can catch up. FlyQuest have a lot of young guns. Griffin, I can feel like that in the right context can be very, very good too. So it's just a question of, can APA, Sven, Vulcan still kind of maintain the brain advantage as things go, and then forming Thanatos into the spear that he needs to be, because I do think that he needs to be like the mechanical advantage and bring in, like, let's say, the scaling and the late game kind of essence. So that's like the nature of things that I pay attention to. But for now, the C9 FlyQuest matchup is pretty damn hype. Like, I think it's pretty damn cool. But I would lean towards C9 as the favorite. That's where I'm at.
I love the shout out to ThinkCard. ThinkCard spending his most recent year over in Furia and trying to build the program, and did so.
He's a wizard, bro.
Last year in CBLOL, he's been able to take these potential rosters and rise the floor for a long time. Did that with the NRG roster. Before that was CLG. Before that, I think, was Dignitas that he was doing it with and keeping them afloat. I think the other, I'm obviously big fan of Griffin. Spent time with him here in Korea when he was on T1 Academy, which was our T1, the third team of T1.
The third team. Yeah.
Because it's T1 Esports Academy. That's 2.
And then it's like T1 Challengers or something like this.
Yeah,
like,
T1 Challengers or T1 Trainee, something like that. But yeah, he's really high on him and enjoying to see his maturity in the game. But I was surprised with Disguised. Like, they did push it to a game 3, as you said, Jamada. Maybe didn't need to be there, but they've been doing this with the sub. Kizno in for Kyra. Sajed has looked good, but then Call Me had a lot of moments where you could see he's on the cusp of shining. He also had some dummy moments, but like, that's what a team like that, where you're strapped by budget, you got to make more with less, needs to be able to do. And I think they found like a really nice piece there in Call Me slotting into the roster along with Castle and then Sajed. Like, I just want to give the props there to Chris, the manager, Ido, the coach, and the rest of the team for making it work. They're making it work. They're pushing teams and almost found their way into the 2-1 side of the Swiss stage, but they'll have to do battle later on. Do they have the matches already up? Yeah, they play Lions, so it doesn't get much easier for them. So, all right, that was a big one there. Let's see. LCK playing in Hong Kong, T1 getting to play in front of an audience in China. I know that Jamada, and Jamada, as EU fans, you're used to seeing teams travel, especially from last year, but to get to see Gen G and T1 and potentially another team, D plus BNK, not Hanwha Life Esports, play outside of LoL Park, but not a world or international event. Imagine if they had this in, like, I was going to say Berlin, but not the LEC studio. How about, like, what is a poppin' place to have T1, have LCK like finals at, Jamada? Where would you have it?
Where would I have it?
Yeah,
Wembley Arena, mate.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, Wembley Arena. Yeah, I mean, we had it at the O2, didn't we? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Put it up at one of the, we got plenty of big football stadiums in London. Yeah, it's just any one of them. It's all right. Yeah,
Any fam?
yeah, man. No, I'll do
Honestly-
it Cockney. I won't do an MLE, mate. Yeah, I've got
If
about
they
4
did it-
different accents from living here.
If they did it in Tottenham, right? You got the Sonny connection there, right? Even though he's not there yet, it's the house that Sonny paid for.
I guess,
Then I could see how Korean fans
Yeah.
would love that, and they would.
Wait, don't tell me you're from
Yep.
Tottenham, Jamada.
No,
Did I
brother,
misunderstand?
I'm an Arsenal fan.
He's a
He said,
gooner.
he said the Tottenham Stadium. I was like,
Arsenal.
Hey, man.
That's crazy,
man.
bro. Damn,
Hey, man.
Arsenal, bro.
Hey, look,
Right.
my dad's
Jesus.
my dad's from Dulwich, and I grew up in North London. What do you want from me? Like, I
then you have
can't
to.
do. I can't. Come on now.
Yeah.
Who's your team? Who's your team, Yamato?
Well, I used to be. This needs context. This
Okay.
needs the preamble.
Oh,
But
okay.
I was a fan of the Didier Drogba Chelsea. Okay,
Oh, wow.
I could no. That's no. That's fine. That's fine.
because
I can
that era of
accept that.
Chelsea was my favorite Chelsea. Because I can't say I'm a Chelsea fan because I'm not a Chelsea fan. Fuck Chelsea.
Sure.
I care about players.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I mostly followed Mourinho and I followed Dortmund, and those were my guys, Chelsea, Dortmund, those are my teams. I just put it out there.
Okay.
All right. This needs the preamble. You guys understand the preamble. Can't say I'm a Chelsea fan. That's cooked, bro.
I mean, you could have. I'm a United fan. It's been a lot of suffering, except the last month. The last month has been pretty fantastic. But before that, it was brutal. Oh, the poster coming in off camera, guys. That's how we know this episode is over. Y'all, let us know what you think about the LCS squads, and also who is your football team. Let us know in the comments below.
Sure.
If you haven't already. Like and subscribe so you don't miss any action here on Last Free Nation and on Power Spike. Yamato and the Rats go for playoffs and a winning record, or just whatever record, just to make it into playoffs next week. Jamada will be covering all the different events, and including LCS. Congratulations, Jamada,
Yeah.
on picking that
thank
up.
you. Yeah, that was big. Shout out C9. They did not have to do that for me, but they did. So love you guys.
And then I'll be doing play-ins for LCK with the Bros and DRX. Hopefully the Bros won't let us down this time. We'll see. On behalf of everyone here, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next week for more Power Spike. Bye-bye, everybody.